It looks like things are really stacking up around here. Endless buckets. Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, April the 10th, 2023, vlog number 311. So, hope everybody had a great Easter weekend. I know we did. We had a pop-up sew day on Saturday, and on Sunday we were at my sister's for a great dinner. She did lamb, and the lamb was absolutely delicious. And you know something about lamb? I'm always afraid to buy lamb in the grocery store and cook it myself because I'm afraid I'm not going to do it right. But my sister got one that was here in Canada. For those of you that don't know, we have a store called, or store chain called Loblaws and the Great Canadian Superstore, all owned by the same corporation. And they have their own line of products called PC. And this was a PC leg of lamb, I think, boneless leg of lamb that already was marinating in rosemary and something else. And my brother-in-law did it on the barbecue. Didn't take long. It took about 45 minutes because you do it in something he called indirect heat, which is essentially what I understand of that is you sort of heat up your barbecue. And if you have 3 burners on your barbecue, you turn off the center one, put your pan or your I guess, well, right on the grill, I guess. I didn't ask him that, but it probably was right on the grill. Your leg of lamb, and just keep turning it every so many, 5, 10, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that, until it's done. And it was just delicious. It was very tender, very juicy, very succulent, as they say. Really enjoyed it. So I think Walter and I are going to give that a try sometime soon. So what else do I have to show you? Well, at the risk of repeating myself, he says, I'll show you this. I think I have shown it to you. I don't know if I've showed it to you in its entirety. I don't think I have. This is now Color Splash Quilt, the one that's applique. It was the block of the month. I've been working on it for 8 months because you get different instructions every month for it. It is now completely quilted and bound. It is done. And you want to know something? I am so glad it is now done because, I mean, it's beautiful, but I definitely was getting sick of this project. So here it is in its entirety. And here's a close-up shot of my backing. Now, the backing looks like it has been quilted, and it has been. But if you look at the quilt itself, at the quilting I've done on it, which is a feather design. That design is on the back here too, but this was printed. This backing fabric was already printed with all of these little swirly and curly cues on it. So you really can't, unless you look at it really up close, because I believe I used a white thread on it. No, I may have used, no, I think it was just a white thread. It's intermixed in with all this printing that was already on the backing fabric. I think it looks really spectacular. That was just a serendipitous sort of thing that happened there. Here's a close-up of what the quilting actually looks like. And it's showing up here in this picture that it's white, but it isn't white. It is a variegated thread. It was a purpley, bluey variegated thread that I used. It's just not showing up that well in this picture. But I'm really pleased. Lucey did a really great job. And if you don't know who Lucey is, that's my name of my long arm. And I did this using the computerized program. Yeah, if I could free motion quilt like this, I'd be definitely in demand. But I can't. But I let the computer do it. And yeah, it turned out spectacular. And some of you will remember that I mentioned there was a mistake in it. Well, I didn't mention it. Walter did. And everybody shamed me into taking that mistake out and redoing that section. And I did. And you want to know something? I'm glad people badgered me into it because it was worth doing. So where's it going to go? Well, I don't know if we'll get it up this week or not. But we're going to hang it over top of the headboard of our bed. Now we have a quilt there already, a smaller quilt. But I'm just going to take that one down, probably put it in the guest bedroom, and put this one up, but I got to do some measurements. It's the only place in the house where you'll be able to see the quilt the best. We have 9-foot ceilings. Do we have 9-foot ceilings or 8-foot ceilings? I think we only have 8-foot ceilings upstairs. But the wall is big enough to handle it, and just have to check to see if the rod I already have up there is long enough for this or that I can extend it. I don't know. I'm really hoping that I can actually extend the rod that's there out to accommodate this so we don't have to drill any more holes and things like that into the wall. Because I intend to hang this, for those of you that are quilters, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm going to hang this without a sleeve. I'm going to hang it kind of like I have things over this side of me hanging up there, not on command hooks, but I have these rings that go over the curtain rod and have clips on them, and I'll just put a bunch of those in and clip to the binding of the quilt, and that will secure it. I don't want to put a sleeve on it because I hate hanging or making sleeves for the backs of quilts. And also, if you ever take it down or something, if it was to be a gift or whatever to somebody, they got this sleeve hanging on the back of it. Yeah, I know, you could probably take it off. And there are ways I think you can make sleeves that with a zipper or something that can come right off. But yeah, I'm not getting into that. It's easier to hang it. And it'll work just as well with these rings. Okay, so that's what I've been up to on that. Now, I've been working on other things, though, as well. So let me just flip back here. And this one, I have the top finished. This is what I call the Canada Day Maple Leaf Log Cabin Quilt. It is Chelsea Stratton's design, but they're my choice of colors. I wanted to make this in my Canadian fabrics. I love this line of Canadian fabrics called Old Canada by Northcott. And later today, my plan is, after I get a few other things done around here, I'm going to throw it up on Lucey and start quilting it. I already have the quilting pattern I want to use for it. It consists of some maple leaves and swirls. I think it'll look really great on this quilt. I have to decide on color, but I'm thinking sort of a goldy yellow on this. We'll see. And then I just have to bind it. So I'm hoping I get it done before the end of the week because we're going away, and more about that in a moment. And you probably know already what I'm going to say because I have been talking about it earlier. So I'm also working on Stephanie Stitch's All Stars quilt blocks. I have 6 of the blocks done, but you make them in duplicate. So what you see here are 12 blocks. They're large blocks. It's going to make a good size quilt. I had a few problems with the last block you see over here, the weave star, and I'll talk about that problem I had with it, which I was able to correct, and not the fault of the pattern designer, which is Stephanie. It was user error, but I got it sorted out. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really nice looking quilt when it's done. Stephanie writes the best patterns. They're so easy to follow, so clear in her instructions and the whole bit. So if you've never ever bought or done a Stephanie Stitches pattern, go to her Etsy store and look at what she has there. And she's got a few, and try one. You won't be disappointed, I can tell you that for sure. Okay, so that's the things that I have been working on this week. Let's go back to me. And so let's talk about the YouTube channel of the week. Well, I just started off this vlog talking about food, okay, and my sister's dinner was fantastic. But you know, sometimes it's really difficult to find food ideas. But there is a program on YouTube. Actually, it used to come on TV. It probably still does, but it's probably on one of the specialty channels called the Food Network. And it's just a source of all kinds of information and entertainment. So here's my review of the Food Network. This week's YouTube channel is called the Food Network. Now, this isn't anything new, I'm sure, to anybody, and I think I've probably reviewed this a long time ago, but I went back and revisited it because there was one program on there called Unwrapped. And Unwrapped shows you how different foods are actually made. Usually candy, I think, is what they really focus on. But I went back and explored other videos that are on this particular channel. And if you go to the playlist section, you will see that they have a lot of the shows that they have put on TV in the past, and some which may still be on TV right now. And they have like complete episodes of these. So they've got Test It by Food Network Kitchen, Bobby's Triple Threat, No Recipe Road Trip with the Try Guys, Barbecue USA, Southern Style Baking with Carla Hall, all kinds of different ones here that, are really interesting to watch, but also they might give you some ideas as well as to what, you might want to cook for dinner sometime soon. So if you want something that's a source of both entertainment, but also interesting information and things that might inspire you to, spice up a meal, then I would suggest that you check out the Food Network. And you will find the link for the Food Network YouTube channel in the show notes below. You'll also find a link for Sew with Stephanie and Stephen. That's, again, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Runs approximately till 10:30. Lately, it's been running till about noon. I don't know about Wednesday, how long it's going to run for. Usually, we just let it run until we have to, one or both of us have to disappear and do other things. Sometimes that means it could be a full day. So anyways, the link for that is in the show notes below. That is a Zoom. It is not a YouTube Live. So, at about 9 o'clock this Wednesday morning, click on it and away we go. Now, if you can't make it at 9 o'clock, but you want to come a little later, that's perfectly all right. It's totally flexible time, and just work on whatever you want to work on. There's a link to the Idiot Quilter Presents. This was an interview that I did last week with MaryJo from SewJo, Quilty, Stitchy. Stitchy Things. SewJo, Quilty, Stitchy Things. So check that out. She's a lovely individual and has a great channel. There is the Idiot Quilter, episode 212, Scraps, Stars, and Leaves, my weekly quilting vlog. And then there is an edition of So Chatty, episode 97, and we call it Let's Play with Lucey. And this is where I've done videos before about my long arm, but I've had the long arm now for about 1.5 years, and I've had the computer component of it for almost 1 year, and I've learned a lot. So I thought I'd do an update on what I've learned and my comfort level with Lucey and all those kind of things. So if you haven't seen that yet, even if you don't own a long arm, but you're curious about long arm technology, you might want to check that out. Okay, that takes me to how things are looking out my window as soon as I find it. And here's the kind of day we're having right now. It's a little later today than I usually do my vlog. It's about 20 after 8 a.m. Eastern time. So the sun is getting up there. And you'll notice no snow whatsoever. Yay. Everything's looking a little ratty still. And it does at this time of the year. But yeah, I think spring has sprung. And temperature-wise, well, it's still cool. It's right now, as I'm recording this, it is 3 degrees Celsius. So that's about 36 degrees, 37 degrees Fahrenheit. So yes, it's nippy out there. But the sun is shining. It looks like it's going to be a great day. And according to the long haul forecast or whatever they call that, this week is supposed to be kind of a nice, mild week. We shall see. I'm hoping it stays nice and mild right through to the weekend, because that's when we're flying out to Vancouver. More about that later. And it would be nice if the day is nice when we fly out. Okay, so that's the kind of day it is today. And that takes me to, and I got to turn over the page. What's pissing me off this week? Well, I mentioned that we're going to Vancouver. We fly out at 12 noon this coming Saturday, and it's about a 5-hour flight, and I'm hoping all goes well. But I am just paranoid of travel anymore for a variety of reasons. I'm paranoid because I haven't traveled since about 2018. It's been 5 years since I've been on a trip, because this nasty little thing called COVID got in the way. And I definitely am suffering from a combination of cabin fever and cave mentality. What's cave mentality? Well, something, that's what I call it. I don't know if other people do, where really you think you should go out, but you go out and you want to get right back in. I have been that way for quite a while now. Going to the grocery store is scary. Even now, even still, when, we've had all the shots and everything like that, the COVID cases, it still exists, but, I don't know. It's just being around people in a public setting that really has been getting my goat. And I got to get a grip on this because I think that's dangerous. That's how people become hermits, especially older people. Like, I'm an older person, and I don't want to be one of those people wearing an old ratty sweater and enjoying a spoonful of food from my cat food tin. Okay? Kind of thing, what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, this whole thing about going to the airport, getting on a plane and flying to Vancouver, it's got me a little worried. Now, why? Well, it's not well, it is partly because of COVID, as I said. Like, first of all, I was talking to my sister, of course. They went to Mexico for a couple of weeks back, a couple of weeks ago. They came back from there. And she said they wore their masks on the plane, but most of the people were not. Well, while they were in Mexico, some of the friends that joined them who came down just a little bit later, they brought COVID with them and infected a few of the other people in their party as well. Now, everybody is over it. They're all fine. They had all been vaccinated. But, now, of course, obviously, those people that had it when they flew down, they didn't realize they had it and they didn't get it on the plane. They got it beforehand. But nevertheless, you don't know where everybody on that plane has been, do you? And of course, the air in a plane is just recycled. Yeah, they try to pretend that it's going through major HEPA filters and it takes everything out. Yeah, this whole HEPA filter thing, I think, is just bull. I really do. There was a time when every appliance in your house that had anything to do with air, like vacuum cleaners and fans and air conditioners, had a HEPA filter. A HEPA filter for your furnace. All this stuff. Yeah, I think it's a lot of. They should call it hype a filter because I think it's a lot of hype. I don't know. Just my theory, and I'm going off topic. However, what's really gets my goat about travel, though, and this was happening before COVID, and it's just been compounded by COVID, is the airport. Toronto Pearson International Airport, the one we have to fly from to Vancouver, is a shit show, no matter when you go. The number of times we've flown out of that airport over the years, you'd think we'd have it down pat. No, because they keep changing it. They change the gates. You don't know where you're going. What I mean by the gates is not the actual gates onto the airplane, the actual where you check in kind of thing. Then they change the check-in procedures. So now they have kiosks. Half the time you can't figure out what to do with the kiosk. And as soon as you're lost with that, there's nobody there to help you. No. It's always funny too, when we get up, we stand there, wait in line, get to the kiosk, have everything ready to go. We get up there, there's somebody helping somebody over here, there's somebody helping somebody over here. Then we need help, there's nobody. What, they see us coming and just disappear? I don't get it. And then you have to go through security. And here's where you don't know what to do. Do I take off my belt? Do I take off my shoes? Do I take my iPad out of my carry-on and open it up? What? And nobody seems to know. I'm looking at the people ahead of me. Guy ahead of me walks right through, doesn't do anything. Throws his carry-on bag on. He's got his belt on. He's got his shoes, walks through. Blah, blah. I get up there. They stop me. Take off your shoes. Let's be consistent about this. You would make your life as one of the people at the security better for it because you wouldn't have to keep repeating over and over. Like, have some signs along the way. I have seen them before. There have been some signs, but then they just don't do it. Or there's no signs, and so you're left to think, what am I doing? Now, just as a side note, I have a brand new pair of shoes, and they're Skechers, and they're stretchy. I still haven't figured out, actually, there are laces in them, but the laces don't seem long enough to tie together, and there's some kind of little rubbery thing on the end of the laces so they don't go through the holes. And I don't know if I'm supposed to take those off and tie them up or not. But for now, what I'm going to do for the airport is I'm going to leave them the way they are, because I found that I can put my foot into them. There's enough give and take my foot out easy. So if I get up there and they say, take off your shoes, bump, bump, there you go. Through the security, bump, bump, they're on. That's my theory. Okay, I'm going to see how that works. But all of that, and they treat you like you're a criminal already. Yeah, I know they're doing their job. Better safe than sorry. But holy crap. And then there's always someone in front of you that has like a liter bottle of something. Again, we've been doing this protocol since 9/11 for over 20 years. Everybody knows you can't take fluids onto a plane, or there can only be a certain size. Come on, people. And of course, then they have to rummage through their bag to get it out and get rid of it. Or they don't empty their pockets. So you're standing there. All of this is adding into your frustration. And then you don't know, is my flight going to be delayed or non-existent? We've had our flight already to Vancouver changed 3 times. And of course, Walter does all the booking online himself, and including the picking of our seats, so he's had to change our seating 3 times as well. And I wouldn't be surprised that come this week, there's going to be another change. They just can't get their act together. And then I don't know, is my suitcase going to arrive in Vancouver? So how am I getting around that one? Well, all of my electronic devices and any medication will be in my carry-on. The only thing in my suitcase is going to be like my toothbrush, my toothpaste, that kind of stuff, and my clothes. And I'm not taking a lot of clothes with me. So that'll be fine. If I don't get it, worst case scenario, I can go to a department store and I can buy a pair of jeans and a couple of shirts, and I'll be fine. So, I don't want to lose them. And we've got those air tags. I bought 4 air tags, and I'm going to put them in our luggage. We'll see how those work as well. Okay, so in other words, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can. Oh yes, carry-on bags. The other thing that gives me frustration when we're flying, they have this little rack thing that tells you can check your carry-on bag size-wise to make sure that it will fit under the seat or in the overhead bins. No one uses it. Nobody enforces it. So there's people coming on with suitcases. Those are not carry-on bags, people. Those are bloody suitcases. And, I don't really blame these individuals for that, because one, they charge you for checked baggage. And, just on principle, that's nickel and diming you. Really is, right? If you're going to charge for that, why don't you just include it in the ticket price? So, here's the ticket price, here are the taxes, here's for this, here you have to pay to reserve a certain seat, and now you have to pay for checking your bag. It's just nickel and diming you to death, which adds to your frustration. And then what else adds to the frustration is when you get on the plane, all the overhead bins are taken by the people who got there ahead of you, because one overhead bin holds 1 carry-on, or suitcase, I should say. Now, how do I get around this? First of all, I'm too short to reach those damn bins above me. I'd open them up, that it'll all drop on top of me and kill me in the aisle. Yeah, squish. I make sure my carry-on bag can go under the seat ahead of me. I've always done it that way, and that's the way I do it. But these other yahoos don't take into consideration anybody but themselves. And then what you get is, you're trying to get to your seat, and these people are trying to find a place to put their suitcase in the overhead. So the aisle is blocked. And so you just have to be patient. At least you're on the plane. Okay? So you know that you're going to be getting to your seat at some point in time. Meanwhile, I feel really bad for the flight attendants, because they're trying to find places for everybody's bags. And people are bitching, I don't have my bag way down there at the back because I'm sitting up here. Well, too bad. Maybe you should have brought a carry-on that you could put under your seat, idiot. But of course, and I'm sorry this sounds sexist, but it's true. women are allowed a purse as well as a carry-on bag. They're not carrying a purse. They're carrying another bag over their shoulder. Yeah. And I'll bet you if you went through that bag, what would you find? Everything that should be in a suitcase as well. So that takes up space too, because those don't fit underneath the seat. A lot of them, nope, they're up there too. Yeah. But people don't want to pay for checked baggage. No one's enforcing this. And then the flight attendants have this big grouping of bags at the front of the plane where you come in that won't fit anywhere. And they're going to put those in the cargo hold, and those people are getting it for nothing. And I think that's a racket. People have figured that out. So what they do is they purposely bring a carry-on that is basically a suitcase. They know it's not going to fit up at the top, and they know they're going to get their bag checked, and it's going to be free. Yeah. Game players everywhere around. Okay, so now we've got everything stowed away. We're in our seat, and yeah, usually the configuration of the seats are 3 across. So Walter and I are in 2 of those, and then I get somebody sitting next to me that one should have had 2 seats. You know what I mean. If it's chilly, it keeps me warm because they're all on top of me, or they stink like smoke because they're a smoker, and although you can't smoke on a plane, they made up for it outside and it just reeks. Or you get someone who's doused themselves in perfume or cologne. I mean, I don't have an allergy, but after a while, that kind of grates on you. Or they need to go to the bathroom and they've got the window seat and they need to get up to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. I don't know. I've often thought of putting a Depends in my carry-on bag, and on their second trip out, say, hey, you might want to try one of these. Yeah, that'd be considered harassment. Or I get the cute little kid that's sitting in the free seats in front of me who has decided to play peekaboo with me. I mean, I'm not a willing person to play peekaboo. They're looking through the crack, they're looking over the seat, they're and I'm doing my best to ignore them. Because if you open your mouth and try to play nice for a minute, like be nice to them, they won't leave you alone for the rest of the trip. And then, of course, there's the entertainment system. And we don't know, is this entertainment system on the plane we're going on one where we have to do it through our iPads or your phone? Because a lot of airlines now are going that route, which I do not mind at all. Or is it one with it in the back of the seat? And then I have to have your own headphones, but I have to have wired headphones. So those are in my carry-on as well as my earbuds, covering all the areas. And then when you're trying to watch something, or if they serve you anything, and they don't on a flight like this, which is only 5 hours to Vancouver, I don't think there's any kind of food service except, I think they have a paid one. You can buy a sandwich that looks like somebody sat on it on the last trip to Vancouver, kind of a thing. Oh, that's an interesting little shape. It looks like a bum. Yeah, whatever. And you never know what's in those sandwiches. They tell you it's one thing, and then you look at it and go, I've never seen ham salad look like that before in my life. What color is that? So yeah, you have all of that. I hope they have a booze service because I will pay for the beer. Okay, yeah, depending on the kind of day I'm having flight. So then, you get to repeat things in reverse when you get to the airport, right? And you're praying that your suitcase is there. Now, one advantage of this one, we're on a domestic flight, so we don't really have to worry about customs for this one. But that's always a thrill when you go through customs, because again, you're treated like you are a criminal. And, you figure they're going to do a cavity search for sure. But at least on a domestic flight, we don't have to worry about that. Just have to worry about whether or not, as we're waiting for that luggage conveyor, looking to see, my suitcase coming or isn't it? It's kind of like a big game of roulette, round and round she goes. Will my suitcase be there? So Am I looking forward to this trip? Yes. I'm not looking forward to the transportation situation at all. So anyways, I'm hoping it all goes well. You'll hear about it one way or the other. Okay, so that takes me to product review this week, and a couple of new things. Walter decided to buy, and I just have to find the picture for you here. Walter decided to buy Ring cameras. Now, we already have a Ring security device in the house and everything, but he decided to get a 3-pack of these cameras, and here they are right here. Just put the right picture up, and I'll blow it up a little bit for you. There we go. So this is what he bought, and we installed them. They actually, I was surprised they installed very easily. So we have them throughout different areas in our house. So anyways, not that if someone broke into our house, the alarm would go off, but it basically doesn't, summon the police or anything like that. That service isn't available in our area with Ring yet, if ever, but it will go off on our phones. So at least anyways, we can watch them now stealing us, robbing us blind. That's always a good idea. And it has sound in it, two-way sound. What am I going to, hey, you, F off, get out of my house. Now, we do have our niece coming over to check on things, and everything, and also to look after our plants. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the plants. I'll come back to that, and everything while we're gone, so that our crops aren't dead. But nevertheless, it's just a little added security in the house. And yeah, we have a lot of cameras in this house. We don't just have these cameras. We have D-Link cameras. We've had those for quite a while. I call them the kitty cams because we got them when we used to have Cleo, our cat. When we went away, we wanted to see what she was up to and everything. Well, it went, that sneaky little kitty, she knew exactly where to hide. Just out of shot of the cameras. But anyways, we have that. Now, the other thing that I bought this week, and I talked about this last week, is these lights that go on your 3D printer. I talked last week all about the one that I installed. I really like it. It's working really well. So I figured I'm going to buy 2 more. Now, I haven't installed them yet because the lights I have are working fine. So these are kind of in spares. And if one of the other lights starts to go or whatever, then I'll replace it with one of these. But I really do like them. They work very well. The price was good, as you can see, $15 Canadian. And I thought I'd better order them now, because Amazon has this thing. Once you've ordered something once and you come back to it a week later, the price has changed and it's not usually down, it's usually up. So I nailed it now. Got them too, and they're sitting in reserve, so I have them. Okay, so I was mentioning about my grow lights, and I forgot to show you the picture of those. So I'm just going to find it here for you in a second. Just bear with me. Talk amongst yourself. I'll give you a topic. And here we go. Okay, so we have done a refresh of what's in there under there. We planted some more lettuce and basil, as you can see, and it's luscious. I don't know what it's going to look like when we come home. It may have gone to, bolt, as they call it, which means goes to seed, but it's looking good now, and we'll just plant more as we need it. And we did some more. We put in a new crop of lettuce here. This lettuce is pretty much done, so we'll have to replant that. So essentially, we're growing herbs and lettuce in the 2 grow light trays. But of course, in the jungle, every time I show a picture of this, it gets bigger. We have all our green peppers there and our tomatoes. They're all doing very well. We have tomatoes as well, little green ones. They're getting bigger all the time. And looking in here, you can see we have green peppers coming on as well. That's a little green pepper. Still kind of small, but we've got lots of flowers, as you can see, which is a good thing. So hopefully they will survive while we're gone. And if you notice, Walter got a couple of these bus pans, they call them, you know, they use them in restaurant places for cleaning up dirty dishes. And he's got them with, I think he put a pad or something in the bottom of them. And he'll fill these up with water. There are holes in the bottom of these flower pots, so they'll be able to, by osmosis, suck up the water while we're gone. And our niece is coming over to check on them every so often while we're gone, and we'll top them up with more water if they need it. So hopefully these will survive. And by the time we get back, well, it'll be the end of April. And so probably in a couple of weeks after that, it may be warm enough to start transplanting them outside. And or we'll plant some new ones outside and let these ones just continue indoors. We may have to climatize them to sunlight and things if we take them outdoors. My thoughts right now, which I have no idea what Walter's thoughts are, is that we leave these ones indoors and maybe go to a nursery and buy some pepper plants and some tomato plants that have already been started at the nursery and put those outdoors and go from there. We shall see. We shall see. Like I said, this is always an experiment. Okay. So that takes me to Blast from the Past, continuing with our time in 2016 in New Zealand. And today's video is about a little place in New Zealand called Dunedin. And this was December the 15th, 2016.
Okay, so this is Dunedin. And we're just coming into port right now. That's why the pilot boats are out here. And today, we're taking off for an overnight to Queenston and back. Our itinerary's been changed because of some bad weather conditions. Originally, we're only supposed to spend one night here, but we've got 2 nights here, and that does affect our overnight excursion. We're going to miss the going through the mountains and seeing the fjords from that point of view, although I think we'll still see the fjords from the boat when we go through one of the sounds. But we'll see what happens.
Closed for earthquake strengthening. Next to it, behind the scaffolding, is the old women's prison, red brick building, about to be turned into a backpackers accommodation. Train on the left, the Otago Settlers Museum coming up on the left. You'll see a double-ended shunting engine just inside Josephine. Lovely little old train. The next part of it is the old coach station. The old coach station, which is a lovely Art Deco building. This is now a museum, Settlers Museum. On the right, this area is called Queen's Gardens. That's our war memorial, the cenotaph in the centre. Commemorates victims of mostly the First World War, but all the other wars New Zealand has been involved in. On the left, as we go around the corner, the New Zealand Dunedin Chinese Gardens. Now, when the settlers first arrived here, this was still the foreshore where we are. So everything behind us has been reclaimed from the sea. So just where the road starts rising a little bit, this was the edge of the foreshore. The Chinese Gardens, as a result of New Zealand, Dunedin being a twin city with Shanghai, we had a mayor here who was ethnically Chinese, but a New Zealand citizen of several generations, and he had relatives in Shanghai. He managed to get New Zealand a sister city relationship with Shanghai. They provided they provided all the materials, inlet and labour to build that Chinese garden. Even the rocks in the Chinese garden came out. It's the most authentic Chinese garden in the Southern Hemisphere. On the left, this little structure, this is the memorial to William Cargill, the secular leader of the city. Red brick building. This was the King William Technical College. And for a long time in New Zealand, you took an exam at 11 and your whole future was decided by the results of that exam. You were either technical, i.e. not very bright, so you do woodwork, carpentry, or you were academic and you did the classics. Happily, we've moved away from that, although we still underestimate the value of technical skills. On the right-hand side, this new building, and just in the distance, you'll see in a moment the red roof, is the girls' high school. Now, I said this was a Scottish city. The Anglicans, the English, managed to get their cathedral right in the heart of the Scottish city. And this was a major coup for them in the battle between those two peoples. And The Scots, of course, never take things lying down, and they did manage to get their own back. As we get down to the Octagon here, which is the centre of town, you will see how they got their own back. When we go past the cathedral on the left, the beautiful building next to it on the left is the town hall. The building coming up on the right with the flag flying on it, this is the Allied Press. This is a proudly independent New Zealand newspaper. It's called the Otago Daily Times, New Zealand's oldest daily newspaper. Independent, not owned by Mr. Murdoch or the other big monopolies, and surprisingly doing okay. It concentrates a lot on regional and local news, but it does have a good international section as well. Straight in. So the Cadbury's chocolate factory on the right here spends 9 months of the year making Easter eggs just for the New Zealand market. The Australian branch said, "Can you make some from us?" And they said, "Nope, we're far too busy making it for New Zealand." So this is one of the reasons why New Zealand is right up there with the US for obesity rates.
God.
In a minute, we're going to turn right. Those of you who can see ahead, but also on the left as we turn around the corner, it's a big, ugly concrete building. That is the Dunedin Hospital and Medical School. That's probably considered the best medical school in New Zealand.
So this is the train station that he was talking about a few minutes ago, and I can't really get it all into the shot. Where the sun is positioned today, I can't go out on the lawn a little further from this where all this gets glare, but it gives you some idea of the architecture. And this is Dunedin looking from the front of the train station. And over in this direction here is the Cadbury's factory. This is not the main downtown, it's over a few blocks.
So that takes me to events in the past week, and as I already said, it was a busy week for sewing because we had, of course, on Wednesday morning, sew with Stephanie and Stephen, and then in the afternoon we had our monthly craft and chat. I've noticed today on YouTube there's somebody else who has a YouTube video and he does lives and that, and he calls them craft and chat. How dare he? How dare he call it craft and chat? Sure, he doesn't know that I exist, but whatever. But anyways, we had that, and that was fun. And then we had a pop-up sew day on Saturday, and I did that because there was a big demand for it. I didn't know how many people we would have because I thought people might be, busy getting things ready for Easter dinner or whatever. But surprisingly, we had 33 people at the height of it, and that was fantastic. And I did something different on this pop-up sew day, and I think I might continue doing this. I had draws for prizes. Yep, we had prizes. We spun the big wheel, and what I gave out were PDF copies of patterns that I own. Some of them, well, there was quite a selection actually of them. People seemed to be very pleased with what they received, so I think I have a lot of those, a lot. So I think I'm going to continue with that idea on pop-up sew days. So if you've never been part of a pop-up sew day and you'd like to be part of a pop-up sew day, there's not going to be one for a while because I'm going to be away for 2 weeks. Then we have the retreat the week after I come back. So the next pop-up sew day probably won't be until about the middle of May. But if you want to get advance notice of it, join my mailing list. The link for that is in the show notes below. Actually, it's not a link. What it is just my email address. You just send me your name, first and last, please, and the email address that you want to be contacted at, and I'll add you. And so when I send it out, you'll get one. You'll get the link and everything for that. So it was a busy week, and I showed you what I accomplished as well at the beginning of today's vlog. So what else can I say about the week that I haven't? Nothing, basically. That was the week. Okay, so of course what's coming up, it is our trip to Vancouver. You've already heard me talk about my worries about that, but once we get there, it should be great. I will be doing lots of videos when I'm out there, and I intend to try to post and to do lives on my channel while we're out in BC. How successful I will be, I do not know. How will you know whether or not I have something new out there? Easy. You need to subscribe and you need to click the bell icon. Now, these are words you don't usually hear come from my mouth. Lots of YouTube creators tell you this all the time. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. I don't, but in this case, it's a good idea if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing out there. If you don't worry about it. But anyways, we are going to try to do some Stephen and Walter lives. They will be shorter, and I don't know when we will do them. They won't be at the same time as we usually do them. So basically, after this week, for the next 2 weeks after that, things are going to be irregular on the channel. There won't be a vlog like this. There won't be a So Chatty. There won't be an idiot quilter kind of thing. There'll be what I'm calling, Stephen and Walter Go West. And you never know when those are going to pop up on your screen. Okay, so I think that's it for me now. Tomorrow will be the idiot quilter. There may be a So Chatty at the end of the week. We haven't decided yet. Depends. We're actually on Friday when we do So Chatty. Later in the day, we're off to the airport because we have a room at one of the hotels at the airport. We figured we'd be there overnight. Then the next day is not a big rush to get to the airport from our house and everything like that. So, yeah, we're trying to do everything we possibly can to make this travel experience, smooth. We'll see how our plans all work out for that. But maybe we will do a So Chatty. I have a feeling we won't, though. We'll be too busy. But anyways, yeah. So we'll see you sometime over the next few weeks from Vancouver or in other parts of BC. Okay. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.